Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. The RV engine is already roaring when I see the problem. My passenger seat is empty, my husband is still on the porch. My name is Emma and I am 35 years old. I grip the wheel and wait for him to move. He just leans on the doorframe and watches me stall there. I tap the horn once, not cute, not playful at all. He flinches and lifts one hand like I am too loud. His other hand presses against his stomach, dramatic and shaky. He mouths something about feeling sick and points back inside. This is our first trip with the RV and I am already alone. I kill the engine and the sudden quiet hurts my ears. The silence feels heavier than the machine ever did. I open the door and climb down slower than I want. He steps back like I am the one bringing trouble here. I already know I am about to beg and I hate that. You coming or what? My voice comes out flat, not sweet, not patient. He looks past me toward the street, not at my face. Today is bad, my stomach is messed up again. He rubs his side and avoids my eyes like they burn. I stare at him and try not to roll my eyes. He was fine an hour ago when we checked the fridge. He joked about snacks and complained about my packing habits. Now he is suddenly fragile and the timing feels perfect. I can taste the argument before it even starts breathing. This trip is booked, remember, non-refundable sites, all that fun stuff. My words land sharp and he shifts his weight, shoulders tensing. You can still go, you should go, you wanted this. He gestures toward the RV like it is something I bought alone. The way he says you slices straight through whatever hope I had. I look back at the RV and my throat tightens hard. I signed the papers last week and handed over our savings. He stood next to me then, hand on my back, smiling. He called it our new start and told me we were brave. Now he cannot even walk down the steps and I feel stupid. Is this about money again, about how much it cost? He drags a hand over his face and lets out a breath. It's not the money, you know that, I just feel weird. He glances toward the neighboring driveways like someone is spying on us. If he is sick, why is he worried about who is watching? Then come lie down in the back while I drive. I hear myself bargaining like a parent with a moody teenager. You can sleep through the first couple hours, I do not mind. He shakes his head hard, too hard for a simple stomach ache. I do not want to be stuck out there, not today. That word sticks in my brain, that little stuck with teeth. He is not talking about traffic and we both know it. Out where, I ask, trying to keep my voice casual enough. He shrugs and looks at his phone like something urgent waits there. Just far, just wherever that campground is, it is too much. I step closer and lower my voice because his eyes look wild. Say you do not want to go, fine, just say that. The air between us feels charged, like one wrong word will explode. He clenches his jaw and laughs once, short and humorless. You are overreacting, Emma, you always go straight to drama. That line punches right where he wants it, in my old bruise. I cross my arms and stare at his socks on the concrete. Maybe he is right, maybe I am making this bigger than necessary. Except my legs are shaking and my chest feels like a tight fist. I bought a rolling home for two and I am begging for a passenger. I turn back to the RV and picture canceling everything again. We already postponed last month because his boss needed him that weekend. Before that, he twisted his ankle and insisted he could not travel. Each time I swallowed it and told myself love sometimes looks flexible. Now the pattern lines up in my head like dots finally connecting. I climb back into the driver's seat and leave the door open. Last call, I say, trying to sound lighter than I feel. If I start this thing again, I am heading out without you. He stands at the bottom of the steps, hands buried in his pockets. My thumb hovers over the ignition and time drags like wet rope. Fine, go, he says, and the word hits like a slammed gate. He does not sound sad, he sounds cornered and a little annoyed. You wanted this adventure, so go have your adventure, send pictures. The way he spits out adventure makes it sound cheap and childish. I swallow that taste and pretend it does not burn all the way down. If I go alone, that is on you, not on me. My voice trembles, which ruins the tough line I rehearse silently. He lifts his shoulders again, a tight little shrug that dodges everything. You are the one who bought it, remember, you do not need me. He says it like I forced this on him, like I dragged him here. Back then I heard those words as simple selfishness and laziness. Now writing this, I know there was something darker hooked underneath. I did not see it yet, I just felt off balance. I turned the key because I was tired of begging. For crumbs. The engine roared back to life and my heart pounded with it. He steps closer, almost to the open door, not climbing in though. Text me when you get there, seriously, let me know everything. His eyes bounce from the RV to the street like a trapped animal. Share your location too, just while you are gone so I know. The request lands heavy, but I tell myself it just means care. Sure, whatever, I will share it, I say, already grabbing my phone. He pulls his own phone out and watches the screen impatiently. I open the app and tap through the steps, fingers a little numb. There is a tiny pause when it asks for unlimited sharing, not limited. I ignore the weird feeling and hit confirm before I can overthink it. Okay, you are on, he says, voice softer now, almost relieved. He studies the screen like he just activated some secret safety system. Stay near the interstate, do not cut through back roads today. I blink because we never discussed routes like this before, not once. He meets my eyes for half a second, then looks away like he slipped. Why does it matter which roads I take? I have GPS. I try to sound teasing, but my chest tightens around every word. It is just safer, you know that, more people around, fewer problems. He scratches his wrist, quick nervous strokes, until the skin reddens slightly. It feels less like concern and more like he is mapping my cage. I buckle my seat belt and finally pull the door shut between us. It feels brutal, like I dragged a wall right through our kitchen. He steps back onto the porch and squints at me through the glass. His mouth moves in what might be a smile, but his eyes do not follow. For a second, I think he will run down and flag me again. I ease down the driveway, every inch louder than it should be. He stays near the door, arms folded now, phone bright in his hand. The RV feels huge and clumsy, and I feel exactly the same way. At the end of the street, I check the mirror out of habit. He is still there, watching like a guard who never clocks out. My phone buzzes before I even reach the main road ahead. I know who it is without checking, my skin already knows. I let it ring once, twice, fighting the urge to throw it. Finally, I hit answer and put it on speaker, trying to sound calm. Yeah, I say, and my voice comes out tighter than any seatbelt. Where are you now? His voice fills the little space around me. Still in town, obviously, just getting started, nothing dramatic yet. Which direction exactly? Are you going past the old mall or not? He is not asking about weather or traffic or whether I am excited. He wants coordinates, not conversation, and my stomach does a slow turn. I give him a rough answer and leave out a few details. I say right when I actually turned left, small stupid rebellion. He does not notice, at least not then, he just keeps grilling. Send me a picture when you hit the interstate so I know. I hang up on the promise and feel my hand shake on the wheel. Back then I told myself this was clingy love with rough edges. People worry, right? Partners care, partners want to know you are safe. That is what I repeated while the RV lumbered toward the open road. I ignored the way his first instinct was to track me, not join me. I had no idea that leaving him behind was the safest part of the trip. My phone buzzes again as I merge onto the highway. I glance at the screen, his name fills the top bar. I am barely 10 minutes away and he is already checking. I let it ring one more time before my thumb hits answer. Where are you right now on the road? His voice fills the cab through the speakers. Just hit the main road, nothing wild yet, so relax. You dropped off for 3 minutes and your dot froze on me. I picture him at the kitchen table with his phone locked on my route. I steer into the next gas station lot and park near the edge. Pulled over already, you happy now? I open the camera and snap a quick shot of the windshield view. I send it to him and watch the little typing bubble start and stop. Another text appears asking for a wider angle so he can see more around me. A moment later, he calls again and skips any greeting completely. Those trucks behind you, is that the same place as last weekend? I squint at the screen because I barely remember where I stopped then. He zooms in on the picture and circles the sign by the gas pumps. I realize he is not admiring the scenery, he is mapping every inch I cover. That becomes our routine, fast, short trips with longer leashes on his screen. He checks my location like someone refreshing a stock chart during a crash. Back then I called it worry and tried to feel flattered instead of monitored. Now as I write this, I know it was less concern and more control. Even then, something in my chest stayed tight every time his timer went off. One afternoon, I push farther than usual and lose service for a stretch. The road stays empty and quiet, and for once my brain calms down. By the time bars return, my screen is packed with missed calls and alerts. 3 messages sit in a row, the last one all caps with my name. My hands start shaking before I even open the thread, and that annoys me. I call him back and he answers on the first half ring. What happened and where were you? Your location dropped for 20 minutes. His breathing comes rough through the line like he ran upstairs. I almost called the highway patrol because you could have been in a ditch. I tell him nothing happened and I just lost signal, but my voice trembles. Do not ever vanish like that again. I cannot have cops involved right now. The way he phrases it hits my ear wrong and I actually pause. Most people worry about me getting hurt. He sounds worried about paperwork. What do you mean by involved? I ask it like a joke. He laughs once and says he just hates dealing with tickets, but the laugh sounds off. That night he wants a video chat from the RV before I sleep. I prop the phone up and walk the narrow aisle while he watches. Show me the spot outside, I want to see who is around you. I flip the camera and sweep it across the parking rows and the entrance sign. He zooms in again on his end and asks me to hold still on the exit number printed there. In the morning he calls before I even unplug the hookups. Today I want you to stay on the main interstate every mile. He lists exit numbers and rest areas and warns me to skip anything past the state line. I joke that he sounds like air traffic control and he barely reacts. At the time I let it slide because I wanted the day to stay peaceful. A week later I ignore his suggested path and take a 2-lane shortcut. The map on my dash shows a slower route, but the drive feels lighter. My phone rings 5 minutes into that detour and my stomach flips hard. Why did you leave the interstate, turn around and get back on? He rattles off the county name I just entered and tells me that area is trouble without explaining a thing. I stare at the road and wonder how he even remembers county borders that well. You have never cared where I drive before this RV, why now? He mutters something about crime stories and crazy news and tells me to trust him. I almost push harder and demand a real answer, but I back off instead. Looking back, that was another little moment where I traded curiosity for quiet, and the cost kept growing. The first time I get close to the state border with the RV, everything explodes. I am following the GPS toward a campground near the edge, and I can see the line on the screen. A call comes through just as the sign for the next state appears in the distance. His voice comes out higher than usual, almost cracking, while he begs me to stop before the border. Please get off at the next exit and turn around, do not cross that line today. I slow down without thinking because the fear in his tone feels real and contagious. What is wrong with the next state? Did something happen there to you? He swears it is just crowded or unsafe or full of bad drivers and begs me again to stay in hours. I take the exit even though every part of me wants to push past just to prove a point. That night I stare at the canceled booking and wonder when I started bending my life around his panic. By then my trips are tiny circles on the map, all inside the same set of lines. He never once sits in the front seat, yet he directs every mile like a remote driver. I keep telling friends he just worries a lot and that I do not mind the check-ins. In truth, I start waiting for his approval before choosing any turn, and that dependence feels heavier each week. I still did not know what waited past that border, yet I was already steering away from it. I yank the junk drawer open and something white wedges against my wrist. I pull harder and a thick envelope jerks forward with it. It is buried under takeout menus and batteries and should not be. My first thought is warranty stuff for the RV and my pulse jumps. I pinch the corner and slide it free from the mess. There is a court logo on the top that makes my stomach drop. His first name is printed in big letters I recognize too well. Underneath sits a last name I have never seen attached to him. The return address lists a county office and my fingers start tingling. I stand there in the kitchen with the drawer hanging open crooked. The envelope is already sliced across the top with a neat line. He has read this and tucked it away like junk mail. For a second I think about shoving it back and pretending ignorance. Then I hear my own breathing and that snaps me out of it. I slide the papers out slowly so they do not tear apart. The first line hits hard enough that I have to read it twice. Notice of community supervision conditions sits under his full legal identity. That phrase feels colder than any weather report, and I actually sway. Ligro. Be the counter edge because my legs forget their job for a moment. My eyes skip down the page while my brain tries to stall. There are bullet points about scheduled meetings and travel and reporting requirements. Another line mentions offense classification with a number I do not understand. I latch onto the word probation and the room feels off balance. Out loud I mutter that this must be old paperwork forgotten here. It is not old, that becomes clear in one glance at the date. The issue stamp is from this year and not even many months back. I read the month again just to make sure I am not misreading. The ink looks fresh enough that I picture it sliding into our mailbox yesterday. If I am honest, I wanted any excuse to call this ancient history. Midway down the second page, I hit the part that burns the most. Travel outside state boundaries prohibited without advance written authorization from supervising officer. I stare at that line until the words blur together in one block. Suddenly, every freak out about borders and exits stops feeling random. He did not want me near that line because he cannot cross it. The document lists check-in times and required updates on address changes. There are warnings about missing appointments and what happens if he disappears. Failure to comply may result in revocation and incarceration, sits all alone. I whisper it once and hate how shaky it sounds in my own mouth. I have been worrying about campground reviews while he has been dodging a cell. My chest does this weird hollow thing that feels like embarrassment and fear mixed. I flip to the last page looking for some clue about what happened. There is a box with offense description and two short stacked lines. Assault bodily injury is printed there in flat, uncaring type. Under that is enhancement due to prior, and my throat closes. I stand very still and listen for the garage door out of habit. The house is quiet enough that the fridge hum sounds way too loud. I should not know this from a paper before I hear it from him. At the same time, I already resent him for putting me in that spot. It feels like I broke trust and somehow he broke it first. Part of me tries to argue that everyone has one bad night somewhere. Maybe a bar fight years ago that spiraled because someone pushed too far. Maybe he meant to tell me and could not figure out a moment. I let those thoughts run because they are kinder than the alternative. Still, my eyes keep snapping back to that prior line like a magnet. My phone buzzes on the counter and I jump hard enough to swear. The screen shows his name and a selfie with some coworkers downtown. The normal everyday picture feels rude next to the legal letter in my grip. I let the call fade away and watch it return to the home screen. I am not ready to hear his voice while I hold this thing. On instinct, I lay the paper flat and snap quick photos with my camera. I do not even think about it, my hands just move on their own. A slow dread settles in while the images save one after another. I am already imagining this paper disappearing once he knows I saw it. Having a backup feels like the only solid ground I can create alone. The garage door rumbles just as I shove everything back into the envelope. I slide it under the stack of coupons where it was wedged before. My heart is beating loud and fast enough that I feel it in my ears. I push the drawer halfway closed and wipe my palms on my jeans. When the door opens, I am still standing there like I never moved. He steps into the kitchen and drops his keys on the counter with a clatter. His eyes do a quick sweep and land on the half-open drawer. What are you digging around for? Flashlight. I grab the closest thing that looks like one and hold it up. My voice sounds casual enough, but my armpits are damp and cold. He walks over and nudges the drawer all the way shut with his hip. You find whatever you needed. His tone is light, almost playful on purpose. I watch his face instead of his hands because I want to catch something. There is a tiny stiffness around his mouth that was not there before. He reaches for a drink like this is just a regular late afternoon. I decide to poke first instead of blowing everything open. Mail came today, anything interesting? He shrugs and looks at his phone rather than the counter. Just junk, I tossed most of it already, electricity coupon stuff. The lie hits so fast I almost laugh because the envelope flashes in my mind. I could let it go right there and keep pretending I know nothing. Instead, I open the drawer again and fish out the thick packet slowly. What about official letters with your other last name on them? I lay the front page flat between us and tap the heading. His face goes blank in a way I have never seen before. The air in the room tightens as he stares at the heading. His jaw works once like he is chewing on metal instead of words. W. Here, did you get that? Why are you going through my private stuff? He grips the edge of the counter and leans in close. Suddenly, I feel smaller even though nothing about my body changed. You left it open in a drawer we both use every day. My voice comes sharper now because the blame lands wrong. I was looking for a tool for the RV and it jammed on this. I tap the page again for emphasis, louder than I planned. I had no idea my husband walks around on supervised freedom. His shoulders rise and fall once in a heavy, slow breath. It is not like that, it is blown up on paper so they look tough. He glances at the part about assault and shrugs like it reads parking ticket. It was a fight that got pushed way out of proportion. He finally looks up like that should settle every question in my head. I point to the date printed at the top without saying anything yet. We were already married when this started, why did you hide it? He rubs his face and lets out a rough, tired sound. I thought it would clear fast and I did not want you scared. My chest tightens because I am already scared and now also furious. I slide my finger under the travel rule and let it sit there. What about this line about leaving the state? This is pretty specific. He snorts and lifts one shoulder in a half-hearted gesture. They put that in everything, it is boilerplate junk they never enforce. His eyes flick to mine and then away so fast it feels like flinching. I stare at him for a long stretch and feel something tilt inside. The border freakouts, the exit instructions, the obsession with my routing. All of it rearranges itself into a pattern I do not like at all. He reaches for the paper and tries to pull it away from my hand. I hold on tighter than he expects, and the page crinkles between our fingers. For a second we just stand there, both clamped on the same document. His grip is steady and mine is shaking, but I do not release first. This does not touch you, he mutters, more to the counter than to me. It is my situation, trust me to handle it without overreacting. I hear that word again and feel my face go hot with anger. I let go before the page rips because I need my hands free. He folds everything quickly and tucks the envelope deep into the drawer corner. Then he slides it shut like he is locking a vault none of us should open. You have enough to think about with your road trips in that vehicle. The way he stresses your makes it clear exactly where the line sits. Later that night, I sit alone in the RV with my phone. I scroll through the photos I took of every page earlier. The travel restriction stares back at me each time I swipe. I zoom in until the letters almost blur and my eyes ache. That one condition feels louder than all the other rules around it. I remember his voice on the calls, counting exits and urging me to turn. Suddenly, it is not sweet worry or clingy attention anymore. It sounds like someone terrified I might drag him over a line he cannot cross. Once that thought settles, it will not move, no matter what excuse he gave. That is the moment I know my next trip cannot follow his script. I punch a new campground into the GPS and watch the route jump. The line goes straight across the state border and keeps going. My hand shakes once on the wheel, then I tighten my grip. This time I do not reroute, I do not ask for his opinion. My phone sits face up on the dash with his icon pinned. The location sharing icon blinks in the corner like an eye. I almost slide it off, almost cut him out of this drive. Instead, I leave it on because I want him to see exactly where I am headed. Looking back, that was me lighting the fuse on purpose. I roll out of town with the RV humming under my feet. Traffic thins, the miles start to fall away behind me. Highway signs count down to the other state in big numbers. Every time I pass one, I feel my pulse jump a little higher. Each sign feels less like distance and more like a dare. The first call hits before I reach the halfway marker. Morning on the road already, his voice tries for casual. Yeah, I wanted an early start, beat the rush. There is a short pause while he checks whatever tracking app he uses. You are farther east than usual, what are you doing out there? I keep one eye on the road and one on the shrinking mile count. Trying a different way, new scenery, remember that was the point. Silence stretches and I picture him zooming in on my dot. You are heading toward the border, you know that, right? He does not sound laid back now, he sounds tight and breathless. I do not answer right away, which only winds him tighter. Emma, talk to me, what campground is this? A place across the line, I booked it last night. He sucks in air so hard I hear it over the engine. Cancel it, get off at the next ramp and turn back. The next sign flashes by, 9 miles to the new state. I swallow and keep the Wheel steady because I am done swerving. Why would I do that? They have sights open and I already paid. You cannot go there, not that direction, pick somewhere else. His voice cracks on that last word and my neck prickles. You told me it was just some stupid fight blown up. I keep my tone flat, but my heart is pounding. You never mentioned not being allowed to leave this state at all. Because I did not want to drag you into my legal mess. He is talking fast now, tripping over words, dropping little bits of truth. Another marker goes by, 7 miles. I already opened your paperwork, remember, I am already in it. I tap the steering wheel and wait for him to stop dodging. If I drive across today, what exactly happens to you? The question lands between us like a rock, heavy and impossible to ignore. For a moment all I hear is static and his harsh breathing. Then very quietly, if my officer finds out I left, I go inside. My throat goes dry enough that I have to force words out. Inside where, I know the answer, but I want him to say it. Jail Emma, actual bars, orange, all of it. I flick on my blinker and coast toward a rest area sign. I need solid ground under the RV before I do something stupid. He hears the click through the phone and panics harder. Do not pull off there, stay where you are and go home. The control in his voice comes back, wrapped in fear this time. I guide the rig into a spot facing the highway entrance. Border signs loom in the distance, close enough to read the first word. I put the transmission in park, leave the engine running and breathe. Explain why one town over would trigger prison time for you. I stare straight ahead because if I look back I will soften. On the other end I hear him pace, shoes hitting tile. When I told you about the fight, I did not tell you everything. No kidding, I almost laugh, but it turns into a rough sound. Nobody pressed charges over a random shove, Emma, it was worse. He pauses, then starts again, voice lower like he hates every syllable. There was a guy my ex started seeing while we were still tangled up. His words come slow now like he is chewing glass. I followed them one night after work to a bar near the state line. He clears his throat, then keeps going because I do not fill the silence. I was already worked up, drinking, watching them laugh, and I snapped. He tells me he waited in the parking lot until they stepped outside. He walked up on them yelling about betrayal and respect and history. The new guy got in his face and shoved him first, at least in his version. I swung back harder than I meant and he went down. His voice drops even more on the last part. He hit the pavement with his head and it was not a small hit. There is a tiny choke in his throat when he remembers it. Blood everywhere, people screaming. I tried to pick him up and woke him worse. Sirens came, officers separated everyone, neighbors filmed on their phones. By the time it was over, he had charges in 2 counties and a protective order. They could have locked me up for years. I hired a lawyer and begged. He laughs once, bitter and short, then stops himself. They gave me supervision instead, with travel rules and meetings. There is also a condition keeping him away from that other state. If they catch me over that line, they can say I violated both things at once. I stare at the road ahead and watch trucks glide past the rest stop. Is the guy okay? It comes out sharper than I expect. He woke up, he walks, he is just not the same from what I heard. The words hang in the RV and I feel my stomach twist. So it is not some casual scrap in a parking lot anymore. Why did you never tell me any of this before we got married? My palm leaves a damp print on the steering wheel as I wait. I thought it would scare you off and I needed things to look steady. He exhales hard, then pushes out the next part like a confession. Having a spouse, a house, that all helped in court, stability points. That sentence burns worse than everything else he has said. You used our marriage as a prop to impress a judge. I hear a chair scrape in the background as he sits down heavily. I wanted us anyway, I just moved faster because of all that. He insists he loves me, but it sounds tangled with strategy. I bought the RV so we could fix us, and you knew you were stuck. I let out a shaky laugh that does not feel like humor. You let me spend our savings on something you could not even ride in. He groans quietly, like he has heard this in his head all week. I thought by the time you wanted to cross, this would all be over. That is not how any of this works, and you know it. I shift in my seat and look again at the sign down the highway. The papers you hid were dated this year, you are nowhere near finished. He mutters that he hoped for early release if he behaved perfectly.
No.
And he says the part that finally clicks everything into place for me. If you drag that RV past the boundary, they might think I went too. He starts listing ways it could all go wrong. What if there is a ticket in your name and they link addresses? What if the guy's family still lives there and sees your plates? What if somebody runs my name when you use me as an emergency contact? I almost snort because a minute ago I was just a naive wife. Now I am apparently a walking violation risk in his head. So all those calls about exits were not about me staying safe. I press my thumb into the steering wheel until it hurts. You are babysitting your record while pretending to protect me. There is a long, empty space where he does not speak at all. When he finally does, his voice sounds smaller, worn thin. Both, I swear, I worried about you too, please just come back. He begs me to turn around to keep our address clean. He promises that once the supervision ends, we will go anywhere I want. In the present, writing this, I know that offer was never real. Even back then, something in me recoiled when he dangled freedom later. I sit there in the driver's seat with my blinker off and engine idling. Mile markers sit just ahead and his fear buzzes through the speakers. For the first time since buying the RV, I feel more trapped at home than I do out here. I drop the gear into drive and his voice spikes. Do not move, I am begging you, just stay put. My foot hovers over the gas like it belongs to someone else. The highway ahead looks open and my chest feels crushed anyway. If you cross, they can drag me back into court. He is almost panting now, every word shoved out fast. I have done everything right since that night, do not wreck it. There it is again, that word it instead of us. I stare at the road and realize what he is really defending. What about my life? The question comes out low and rough. I have driven circles around this border for months for you. My hand tightens on the wheel until my knuckles ache. When do I get to go where I plan to go? On the line, he goes quiet in a way that says enough. He finally exhales, long and shaky, close to the microphone. Just hang on until this is over, then everything opens up. I actually laugh once, sharp and ugly, before I can stop it. You are not even sure when that is, you guessed on early release. I hear a chair slam into something on his side. So this is payback, his tone twists hard, bitter and scared. You want to punish me so you will run off out there. I shake my head even though he cannot see a thing. This is not revenge, it is me doing the trip I bought. I pause, then add, with or without your permission. The word permission lands heavy between us and he pounces. I am not your father, stop acting like a grounded kid. He drags Aaron again, trying to pull himself together. I am asking you as your husband, please just come home. My throat stings because part of me wants to fold at that. I glance down at my hand and the band around my finger. It shines against the steering wheel and looks wrong suddenly. I twist it once, twice, then work it over my knuckle. The skin feels bare and strange when the metal slides off. I set it beside the gear shift where I can still see it. Are you still there? His voice jumps when I do not answer. Talk to me, tell me you are turning around already. Instead, I reach for the phone propped on the dash. The little arrow shows my location stuck in this rest area. The sharing icon glows like some tiny leash on the screen. Do you even hear yourself right now? I keep watching that arrow. You are not asking how I feel, you are terrified of your record. He starts to protest, but I keep going before he can spin it. You lied so you could use our marriage as a safety prop. That is not fair, he blurts, but it sounds weak even to him. I open the settings app with my thumb and scroll to privacy. My heart hammers so hard that the phone shakes in my palm. The option for live tracking sits right where I left it months ago. I hover over the toggle while he keeps pleading in my ear. Turning it off feels bigger than any turn of the wheel. If you shut that off, I will lose my mind over here. His voice cracks clean down the middle as he senses my intent. What if something happens and I cannot find you on the map? I stare out at the highway entrance, then back to the switch. If something happens, I will call for help, not you. I tap the toggle and the icon goes dark in an instant. The map shrinks, my arrow still sits there, now unclaimed. On the line I hear a choked sound, half gasp, half curse. You did not just do that, turn it back on right now. I rest the phone flat on the dash like it weighs 10 pounds. No more tracking, no more exit instructions, I am done. The words surprise me as much as they hit him. Silence holds for a long beat and then he snaps. If you drive over that line, you are on your own for everything. He spits the last word out like it is a threat, not freedom. Maybe I should have been on my own from the start. I reach for the screen again and bring up his contact. He keeps talking, throwing out promises and warnings and old memories. None of it mentions what I actually need right now. I hit the option for block caller and my thumb hovers. One more ring breaks through from him as if he senses it. Emma, please, I am scared, do not do this to me. That last part flips something inside me completely. He still frames it as something happening to him, not us. I press confirm and the call cuts off mid-breath. The sudden quiet in the RV hits harder than any argument. The engine hums, trucks pass, my pulse thumps in my ears. His name disappears from the top of the screen like it never existed. I know he will try messages next, or another app or anything. I swipe down and mute every alert he can possibly trigger. I drop the rig into drive again, and this time I move. The rest area exit slopes toward the highway like a ramp. I check my mirror out of habit, half expecting him behind me. Of course he is nowhere, he is miles away with his phone. For once he does not get to watch my location change in real time. The sign for the next state looms ahead, huge and unavoidable. My palms are slick as I tighten both hands on the wheel. Part of me wants to get off at the last possible exit. Another part is sick of shaping every decision around his fear. I keep my speed steady and let the distance collapse. When I glide under that big welcome board, nothing explodes. No sirens, no sudden calls from officers, no handcuffs materialize. I feel something loosen deep in my chest, slow and strange. It is not a movie moment, just quiet and real and heavy. I realize I am breathing deeper than I have in months. I check the mirror again as the border vanishes behind me. Still no one chasing, no flashing lights in the distance. The only thing different is the knot in my stomach unwinding. I drive another 15 minutes just to prove I can. Every mile past that sign feels like a small private rebellion. The first rest stop in the new state appears and I signal over. I pull the RV into a spot facing the road, ready to leave again fast. There is a patrol car parked near the entrance and my heart jumps. Not because of him, but because of what I just did for myself. If anyone runs information now, it is not my secret to cover. I climb into the back and sit on the edge of the bed. My phone lies next to me, screen dark, blessedly quiet. A notification pops up from an unknown number almost immediately. I tap it open and it is a message from him through a different app. Paragraph after paragraph about how this could wreck his chances. I scroll, watching every sentence focus on hearings and reports. There is one line about me staying safe, wedged in the middle. Everything else reads like a man terrified for his personal record. I wait for any sign he understands why I am done protecting him. It never shows up, not once, and that absence says enough. I delete the whole thread and remove the app from my phone. Next, I open the tracking service and cancel my account completely. It asks 3 times if I am sure, and I hit yes each time. The confirmation screen pops up with a bland little message. Seeing it feels like slamming a door that used to swing both ways. My ring still rests near the gear shift up front, cool and small. I carry it back with me and study it for a long second. It does not look like commitment right now, it looks like paperwork. I slide it into a tiny drawer by the bed and close it gently. Leaving it there feels louder than any shouted breakup. I sit with my back against the wall and let the quiet stretch. No buzzing phone, no instructions about exits, no countdowns. It is just me, this rolling home, and the map in my head. I am still scared, I am not going to lie about that. Doing the right thing for yourself does not always feel brave at first. As I write this now, I know what I did next. I found a lawyer, I filed papers, I stopped being his alibi. That part came later, back in our original state with signatures. Right then though, in that rest stop, I was only one thing. A woman in an RV on the far side of a border he could not cross. I lay down that night with the curtains cracked just a little. Trucks rumbled past outside, steady and distant like ocean waves. My phone stayed on the counter, face down, completely silent. I watched the ceiling and waited for regret to hit hard. It never did, and I fell asleep knowing his rules had finally stopped at the state line while mine kept going.